introduce our speakers. Please welcome Dr. Archana Arcot, Managing Director, Metamorphist, a technology strategist known for helping teams run complexity into clarity, basically the human equivalent of a simplify button. Joining her is Vishal Pereira, Managing Director at CreedCap Asia Investors, a seasoned startup mentor and advisor passionate about building scalable solutions, helping hundreds of founders realize their dreams. Please welcome on stage. I have no body record. Hi, Mo. Can you turn off my mic?
Check.
Okay. Kajal, good morning. And thank you for waking this audience and making it so peppy for all of us, So thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for the lovely introduction for both myself and for Vishal here. So firstly, I want to start off with thanking the firepower, Shreya. Is it... Is it better? Great. So firstly, I want to welcome this lovely audience, men and women, both of you in the room. I do want to start off with thanking Shreya Krishnan, the Firepower, and the whole AnitaB.org team, India team, and the US team for truly making a Grace Hopper celebration and a movement. And it's been fascinating for me to learn so much of what's happening in the Bangalore and the tech ecosystem over the last 3 days. So thank you for bringing us all together. I would say it's more importantly, it's created a space. It's also created a platform for dreamers, and love this whole platform around entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. I think I have the privilege of being with Vishal here today. He's going to talk a lot about CreedCap, but I've learned a lot more about what CreedCap does, what Vishal does, but he's been a great founder, an investor, and I think his big mantra is what are the beliefs and what does CreedCap do to make these beliefs and how can you benefit these beliefs. So let's start off, and this is what's the narrative going to be all about. So Vishal, maybe I'm going to just start off with understanding and letting the audience and these founders know a lot about CreedCap, but your own journey and your mantra of success. And let's start with that.
Sure, Doctor. Thank you so much for the introduction, and also a big shout out to Shreya and team. I think this is your third or fourth edition, right? Grace Hopper team. Okay. I think this is your third edition. Oh, 13th. No, in India. Third edition. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean to do this post-COVID and to find a large audience in such a short span of time. I think hats off to you guys, and looking forward to support you all in whatever way we can. So I co-founded CreedCap in the year 2010. This was a time when the ecosystem was still very, very sort of early, and I was just telling Raj here that back in the day, even a $5 million deal would make it to the front page of a Times of India. And ecosystem has evolved so much that even a $100 million deal doesn't make it to the front page of Times of India 15 years later. Back in the day, if you were a 100 million valued company, this is a 2009-10, that was a big thing. Now you're a $1 billion valuation, easy to achieve. But the next set of benchmarks are, becoming a decacorn, 10 billion plus, or becoming a chimera, which is $100 billion plus in valuation, which we're seeing a lot in the AI space happen in, which will sort of happen in the next year or two. So we started CreedCap. I was, 24 when I started it. The idea was we were seeing a lot of entrepreneurs that wanted to reach out to investors, but didn't know how. They weren't really prepared. So we had started as a quasi consulting firm, saying that can we make entrepreneurs equity ready, so to speak. And that sort of evolved into us, sometime in 2015 realizing that for us to be a part of the journey, we need to put our money where our mouth is. Rather than just trying to sell a startup to an investor, uh, can we be investors first and then also work with that founder in their fundraise journey? So we do two things as of today. We work with early stage companies. When I say early stage, uh, it's not a right, each sector is different, but we look at businesses that are in a pre Series A stage, at least $1 million in annualized revenue. And then we first invest from our balance sheet, plus we manage about 10 family offices. So we come together and we invest about $500,000 in a pre-series A round, which could be between $2 million to $5 million. And then our advisory arm comes into the picture and works with that founder group over their series A, B, C, D, E, or their buy-side mergers and acquisitions that they want to do, or on the sell side, if they want to sell at any point in their journey. So we're 15 years old, would have done about 250 plus transactions on the advisory side. And we have a portfolio of about 30 odd companies, of which 3 or 4 are dead pool. Dead pool means they don't exist anymore. And we have about 26 of them that are active. One is a unicorn. About 7 to 8 of them are between that 100 million to 500 million valuation. And we look at sectors such as consumer. Consumer for us is online and offline, technology, non-technology. We look at enterprise technology. Then we look at healthcare, and we look at electrification and transportation. We've not bucketed ourselves under AI or any of these trendy segments yet, but we do work with a lot of companies that maybe fall in, let's say, consumer tech, but also driven by a lot of artificial intelligence or machine learning. So we don't bucket ourselves under AI, but all these 4 broad sectors that that I mentioned has some sort of AI element in them that we are seeing. So, in a nutshell, this is what we do now.
It's great to learn that story. What I wanted to do for the fireside chat is talk about 2 trends that are really shaping the Bangalore entrepreneur ecosystem, founder ecosystem. The first is, and some numbers here, is that there are 650 women technologists, women founders. That number is gone up from, I'm told, in the last 10 years from 8 to 10%. And over the next 5 years is likely to double and triple. That means 650 is likely to become anywhere between 1,200 to 2,000. So that's one number out there and one trend, and love to get Vishal's inputs on that. The second one is from men founders, men ecosystem. That number, anyone wants to take a guess? What is it in Bangalore? If 650 are women founders, what is the number in Bengaluru for men founders? Yeah, go ahead. Louder. 2K. 20,000. Who said 20,000? Oh, yeah, he's doing a lot of chat GPT for me. That's my nephew. But yeah, that number is about 25,000. So roughly the divide today is 90%, people who are men founders. And I'm going to let Vishal talk. He has a perspective on this and love for this room to get that. But about 650 are, women tech founders. And the number they have raised over the last 10 years is close to about 10 to 13 billion. Okay. So Vishal, you've done so much of, advice in this space. You founded it. So for people who are starting up, whether it's women or men, and this number is going to double and triple, right? What would be your, guidance? What are the foundational pillars they should be focusing on even before they think of funding? So love to hear your story and some pointers to these future founders.
Sure. So look, our mantra at CreedCap has been believe, become, benefit. So what that means is we meet entrepreneurs that believe in an idea, then we sort of come in and help them get that idea to become something, and we want them to benefit also from that idea. I think the core of any business is to make a profit at the end of the day, while there's a lot of thing around value add, etc. But at the end of the day, while you are adding value to your customers, the entrepreneur has to benefit from that idea. So uh, we have purposely, I just talk about our perspective. When we have purposely positioned ourselves to come into a stage of pre-series A, because when a company is doing 40-50 lakhs of monthly revenue, that's a time when some of the foundational stuff is in place, where they would have done some, there would have been some product market fit, uh, you know, they would have had some recurring customers, they would have spread their geographical presence beyond a certain city or a region. Uh, they are now in that mode of growth, early, very, very early growth. I have stayed away from very early stage companies like a seed stage. Although the unicorn that I mentioned in our portfolio was the one that we invested in the seed stage, but that was our first investment and we were very naive. But that the naivety worked out for us. Uh, but we have stayed away from a seed because it's I don't personally have the appetite to take those kind of bets, because when you invest at the seed stage, you have to invest in multiple companies. You can't invest in 5 and say one will work out. You have to invest in 30, 40, because irrespective whether it's a man-led founder, women-led founder, irrespective, I think the market will tell you whether there is acceptance or not. And that happens when the companies is at least $1 million of annualized revenue. So that's the time we come in. We don't think too much about profitability at that point in time, but definitely don't like businesses that are, for every 1 rupee they make, they are losing a rupee. We don't like those kind of businesses. We've seen a good ratio to be about 0.3 or paisa, about 30 paisa loss for every 1 rupee that you're generating, to be okay. But for us, these are some fundamentals that we look at. So I stay away from a very early stage, because I think there's a very good ecosystem here in Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, where you have incubators, accelerators, spending that kind of time, spending that kind of mind share to ensure that companies go literally from 0 to 1. Bangalore has a nice ecosystem. I just want to also highlight that this is DPIT data. There are about 170,000 startups recognized by DPIT, out of which literally half of them have women as directors. And I think, I don't know why that kind of data doesn't really come out in the open and is sort of glorified, but that's the actual reality. So even this year, we're working with 7-8 companies across technology, across retail, food. Everyone has one or at least more than one woman who may not be labeled as a founder, co-founder, but is playing a key CXO role, which I think is the data that we need to look at, and not look at these labels of founder, co-founder, because at the end of the day, to run an organization, you need a bunch of people. You need the founder, co-founder who drive the vision, and then you need people who actually drive the execution. And from what I've seen with some of my companies, the next in line, for the lack of the right word, is driven by women. Teams led by women. So because we are on the ground, we know this data, but I think media doesn't really capture it the way it needs to be captured. So
I think it's a great perspective, and not just label it as founders, co-founders, but look at the whole value chain. But just since this focus is a lot about how do we double or triple the numbers of women founders or other roles they play, for women founders who look to scale, who are able to scale or play these roles, and then there's those who also get stuck. So from your perspective, Vishal, or from your experience, is it mindset? Is it market choices? Or what is it? What are the barriers that you think they should be overcoming to make that leap? Any pointers from some of these stories that you're sharing with us?
Yeah, so from my perspective, again, on the being on the ground every day, I don't, I have not noticed these barriers. I have never worked in a corporate, so I don't know what's happening there. But at least in the startup ecosystem, I see a lot of women in the workforce. I think there are platforms coming now. So in fact, on December 10th, there's another event that we have actually sponsored, where it's called Oops to Opportunity, where we're talking about not the founder level, but next level of people who are actually making these ideas come into reality. And that team is also, George and Minnie run that. It's a good balance of, male and female. And even with all the startups that we have invested in, a large part, especially the ones on the F&B and the retail side, a large part of them have women in the workforce, not only on ground level, but even at mid-level. I have a company called Organic Mandia. I'm sure some of you would have been customers. The chief operating officer is a woman. And the managers who are the city managers, store level managers are all women. Or if I have to look at a tech company called 3SC Solutions, which is in the AI space, which is in the logistics AI space. Again, COO is a woman. Half of the tech team are women. So I think that media is not talking about this. I think that's where there must be a lack of insight as to, is there actually a divide? On the ground, I don't see that kind of divide. I just feel that from a perspective standpoint, putting these labels of co-founder, founder, key management, I think that's, if we sort of let go of those tags, then there's a, then the data will look a lot more balanced in my view.
Thanks. I think the second trend I want to get your perspective on is AI is starting to lower the entry barrier cost.
Yes.
Of starting, scaling, and the complexity. I think a small team today with the right intent and with AI and tech can do a lot more than previously what teams had to do with large teams and a lot of more capital. So in your perspective, people who are looking to become founders and ride on the AI wave, what would be your guidance or advice, and how should they be thinking about this?
No, I think AI has made it really democratic. Everyone's got access to tools that they would have always needed to depend on another person for. I think upskilling is the key here. We actually have another AI company called Jiffy.ai that's replaced a lot of engineers in the ecosystem, but they have a foundation that where they take about 10% of their profits, sort of plow it back, so that they can upskill people that may have potentially lost sort of jobs because of AI. And I think upskilling is the only answer here. Again, there are a lot of tools, a lot of platforms where one can learn, upskill in a shorter time. You don't necessarily need to go to an university or education. You can do it at home, on your phone, on your laptop. And the India ecosystem has evolved phenomenally. There are a lot of women-led programs, women-led grants, for women entrepreneurs, not women-led, for women entrepreneurs. So I think just making an effort to understand what that ecosystem is, and speak to a lot of accelerators. I'm also happy to speak to a lot of you after this or anytime after this to guide you as to where you need to look at if you want to start up. Because ecosystems really evolved to when I started it in 2010 to now. It's very easy for you to get a business up and running, get your first 10, 15 customers within a few months, and then become a 30, 40 lakh a year business very easy across the sector, not just technology, but you want to get into arts, craft. There is a market. People have disposable income, so they want to back more traditional ideas. We've actually seen that in the whole coffee space, for example. Specialty coffee, everyone wants to explore. We've seen that in the beer space, right? We used to drink industrial beer for the longest time. We're now seeing, the craft beer, Bangalore's the craft beer capital. We're also seeing a lot of that. So trends are there, and
Sure, sure. I think we have 10 minutes more. I'm just going to get Vishal's perspective on one more point, and then we'd love to, have some of you ask questions and leverage Vishal's expertise here. So whether it's women or men technologists, they bring a lot of skill set. We've spoken a lot about India, the talent, the opportunity to solve problems. But yet there is a hesitancy to become part of a founder, startup, solopreneur ecosystem. So there is some kind of an identity crisis. You've traversed a very different journey from your education to what you've taken. So what would you give as advice? How can they bridge this identity gap and not just be stuck in traditional corporate roles, because they bring so much of skill and talent to the table? So what would be your guidance?
no, I think if you want to do something, then fail fast and make that decision quick. That's the first set of rule of thumb. Don't like try to improvise on the same idea again and again if it's failing, right? So if it fails, see if you can move on from it, let go. Don't get emotional about an idea. I think that's one challenge that a lot of them do, that they get emotional about one thing or one sub segment, and they say, this is all I want to do, while they may not be understanding that maybe the time to market is not, maybe it's not ready, or they may not have approached the foundation in the right way. So if you're failing, just fail fast and move on to the next, move on to the iteration of that idea a little more faster, and don't wait for years to sort of do it. That's one rule of thumb that I would leave. And I think just keep networking. The more people you meet, or ask and you shall receive, is a very famous saying. So you need to reach out to your network, and you will get 5 people say no to you, but you'll get 5 people to say yes. And if you don't ask, you don't know whether that person will give it to you or not. So ask, face rejection to those who don't want to help you. But I am very sure that at least networking for me has worked. Irrespective, right? Just if I need something small, you always know. There's another saying that they say that in about 5 calls you can get on phone with Donald Trump if you want, and that's actually true, because it's just about your network. So one, fail fast. 2 is just, all of us have 100, 200, 300 people on our phone minimum. It's about just asking them for help, and nothing wrong in asking for help. And that will sort of get you to accelerate to your mission a lot more faster.
No, I think this point about network is so important, because I personally am a big believer of networks. And my simple philosophy is always say the first hello. Don't worry. Even if it's like 100 people, try to say the first hello in the room, and it's going to open doors. So we have just a few minutes left. Going to open up. I see quite a few hands going up. So I'm going to pass on my mic to the team so that, we could get questions. So there is a mic already. So go ahead. I see the first 20,000 you said for men, which is great. So please go ahead with your question for Vishal.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Archana and Mr. Vishal.
Yeah.
I think some amazing
Let's
insights.
have some questions for Doctor also.
Say the
my
first
question
hello.
is open. My name is Malti, and I'm a product executive and product advisor with some of the tech startups, and also work with some amazing women founders. So my question is that you quoted that we are about 10% of the women overall founders are women founders. So the observation I have made is that the 0 to 1 journey, 1 to 10 journey, there is a lot of ecosystem. There are grants, there are ecosystems, there is a lot of support that comes. But if you look at the number of women who make it to the global stage, who are able to really scale up from 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, is not probably even 10%. It is far less than that. So what are the kind of interventions or support that the ecosystem is able to offer that you are aware of, or you are aware of today, that these women founders can leverage?
You want to take that?
Go ahead, and then I will add.
No, I think if I have to look at it from an India perspective, India ecosystem is still evolving. So I gave you an example where we were 10 years ago. where we were 15 years ago when I started and where we are today. I think that just that 0 to 1, for it to have so much of depth, I think that itself is phenomenal. Uh, we are yet to see a large number of decacons in India, 10 billion plus, right? So all my perspectives will be only from the startup side of the world. So I don't know much about the corporate side. I've never worked anywhere apart from working for myself. So I think that ecosystem will evolve, and at the right time, you will see. I think we have seen it in the West. A great example is I was using this platform called Canva to design a calendar for my I'm a part of my alumni association, again networking, where we're making calendars for our alumni day. I got everything done on Canva, led by a woman founder. Again, got rejected by 150 investors, but comes from Australia. That ecosystem is a lot more evolved than India. We will also see that in India. I think we have to give it time. We can't expect something to jump the gun, but we're already seeing it. Even if you see the unicorn and sunicorn data, there are almost like 70, 80 women-led companies that are valued more than $100 million in our Indian ecosystem. 10 years back, difficult. So I think with the emergence of tech, AI, which are, I was just telling doctor that when you log into any tech tool, it's not going to ask you if you're a man or woman or any other gender, right? Once you're in that login, once you finish the logging in, it's really down to how you utilize the opportunity. So I think the ecosystem has to evolve, and it will evolve together.
So I've been in the corporate world for all my life, for 2 decades plus. I've just started playing the entrepreneurial role, and I'm trying to see what is success looks like. And I think the rules of the game are the same, okay? The rules of game in the corporate are always walk the road less traveled. Don't let anybody's journey define you. And I've followed the same rule. Second, work with great people. Be a master class of talent. And whether it's entrepreneurial, if you have the right talent, people who believe in you, and you have to take care of that talent. Whether it's startup, corporate, entrepreneur, you can find that story. And there's nothing called success. If you love what you do, that's success for you. So I'm following those rules. I know we have to make money, I'm told somewhere, so I've outsourced that to someone else. So I do the lovely things about ideas. But yeah, I've seen some more hands go up. Second, go ahead you, and then we'll come back to the third person. Yeah, thank you.
I'm afraid we'll have to stop after this question, please. Yes, yes.
Hi,
Go
Vishal.
ahead, yeah.
Hello, Dr. Archana. I'm Swati Kirk. I have about 19 years in technology, and then I did my MBA from MIT. I am currently working to build a platform for weavers to come to customers directly, artisans and weavers for customers directly. So while I come from technology, you were speaking about the art and craft sector, and if you're going into e-commerce, which is already a very crowded space, so what would you like to see? The first 15 to 25 customers that you spoke about, that may or may not require a platform, right? So what is it that you would like to see in such a business for you to fund it? Like, what are the things that you look for?
I do have some ideas about it. Maybe we can talk offline. It's a longer conversation than that. But there are a lot of channels that you can distribute today. If that's your question, I can't really hear you too well. But I think you're trying to get on the topic of how do I distribute my product, or get it to reach a lot more people.
More like I don't see VCs interested in art and craft if
Yeah.
it's not tech,
Yeah.
right? Or if it's not AI. So
Yeah.
what do VCs look for when it's tech, when it's non-tech?
Yeah, I think the trick there is to not go after a VC. Start with friends and family, build it to a certain stage. So we have
Okay.
to understand what is the step by step.
Okay.
The fundamentals actually. So VCs look at what is very very quick. Again, I was speaking to someone here. We are in an age where back in the 90s, to get from 0 to 100 crore, the whole old economy that we call it would take 8 years, 15 years to reach 0 to 100 crore. And we're in an age now where VCs want to back founders that are young, that can get from 0 to 500 million in revenue in 5 years.
Yeah, network scaling.
So I think VCs are looking there, but there are different other forms of capital that one can access.
Yeah.
So I think there's a mismatch in terms of who we're looking out for, in terms of who should sort of back us. But I think a great place to start is your friends and family network. They'll always back you as long as you know that. See, wherever you take capital from, it's your fiduciary responsibility to return that capital, right? Or ensure that there's a return. A lot of them don't understand that part. But
Okay.
if you understand that and you're sure that you can protect that money and scale the business, then you have this friends and family pool, you have an angel pool that may not look at the returns that a VC looks at, but will be happy if you return 2x over 5 to 7 years. So but it's a longer discussion. Happy to chat off.
Okay. Thank you.
And my 1 cent on this, Swati, is, smell the coffee. What do you mean by smell the coffee? Stop calling it arts and crafts. If you're working with international clients and they're talking about sustainability and climate, change the narrative to what's relevant today. So if you change arts and crafts, the very VC will look at you very differently.
Yeah.
So change it to a very different ecosystem. We are going to chat a little more, I know, a lot more questions. And one last final comment, since I'm now an entrepreneur, we are in stall number 3, 4, and 5. We are doing a lot for women in fractional roles. So please feel free to visit us there. There's also a stall number, I think 3, right? Which is our recruit 3, 4. So please feel free, we'll be there, but Vishal and me are going to stay back to answer questions. So before Kajal shoves us out, Kajal, thank you so much for doing a great job. Thank you for being a great audience. We're here. Thank you,
everyone.
Vishal.
Thank you.
Really there. Thank you. Thank you very much, dear Archana and Vishal. Of course, the conversation does not have to stop here. I saw many hands as well, and this is lived experience, so please do leverage it. I'm going to ask you to just stay on stage and invite Malti to please hand over the mementos. Malti is CEO and product advisor at Spark Prod Consulting, a boutique product consulting firm.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is our photo ops moment.